Kaiju number 8 is a very new series, only starting serialization last July, but in my eyes, it has all the tellings of a great new shonen. The concept itself is very similar to Attack on Titan, which might be what intrigued me in the first place, in that while it takes place in the modern day, society is plagued by kaiju, these big old monsters, and the Kaiju Defense Force, a team of normal humans who use these powerful suits that let them match the beasts, are tasked with killing them and making sure their harm to society is minimized. And on top of that, the main character Kafka Hibino, who's wanted to join the defense force all of his life, unintentionally gets turned into a kaiju, or someone who can become a kaiju at will, and a really strong and badass one at that. And as we follow Kafka try and join the defense force while keeping the secret hidden, while also taking down these huge monsters like one-on-one, is just a really cool concept, and it's definitely caught my eye really quickly. And I have a feeling that it can definitely make waves in the anime and manga community if it continues going at the rate that it is. Let's check out Kaiju number 8. In this story, in Tokyo, kaiju don't spawn super often, but with the massive collateral damage they create and threat if gone unattended to, there needed to be some kind of weapon against them. I mean, just watch any Godzilla movie. One of these things even falls over, and it's hundreds of homes and buildings crushed and innumerable lives lost. And so, in response to this, Tokyo, or Japan I guess, created the Kaiju Defense Force. Just normal people who wear suits that actually integrate kaiju DNA or powers or something, which allows them to go way beyond the limits of a normal person and use weapons that are like super f***ing dope. It's very shonen-y, actually, because these suits have a certain output or percent of power accessed, from a scale of 1 to 100 of course. It's a way of power scaling everyone, because the more of the suit's power that someone can draw out, the more powerful they are, the stronger they get. Again, it's just a great way in a manga that doesn't have like super diverse superpowers or anything like that to show character growth in its characters and show them getting stronger. And it also reminds us that without the suits, they are just normal people. Now, the story follows Kafka Hibino, who actually has the job of cleaning up the remains of kaiju. After they're killed by the defense force, kaiju don't just disappear. And so you've got a bunch of guys like this who have to go in and export its guts and move its body and stuff like that. It's a pretty gross job. And without saying too much here, Kafka has always dreamed of joining the defense force despite having this job now, and has kind of let the opportunity get away with him since he's actually 32 now. And this is one thing that I feel is really important. It's totally different and fresh to read a shonen manga, especially in Shounen Jump, that doesn't have a teenager protagonist, but instead an adult, someone who's mature. And that might be one of the reasons it's so interesting to me, or captivated me so quickly. He's already developed a really strong moral compass and firm stance on how he should act and save people when or if he joins the defense force, unlike, a 15-year-old who just entered freshman year but somehow gets tasked with saving the world. Not to criticize this kind of storytelling, of course, but to have someone who is older and more mature is certainly interesting, and really uncommon within shonen. And so through certain events, Kafka ends up becoming a kaiju, or at least a person who can transform into one at will. And not only does he look super awesome, but he's really strong too. And so from here we see as he tries to join the defense force finally and achieve his dream, while also having to hide the fact that he can turn into a super strong kaiju, because if he did, of course, they'd kill him. Society has no remorse for kaiju, nor should they. And so we see this internal and external struggle in his character that's also just really interesting. If he wants to save someone from a kaiju, what'll happen if he shows people he can turn into a monster? How will they react? Will he get sent to a lab for experimentation? Will he be killed on sight? Or will he have to kill them? And the best part, as I mentioned earlier actually, is that it doesn't matter to Kafka in the long run how he looks to other people, because he has firm beliefs and he is, I guess for lack of better words, already a hero in the way he thinks and his mindset. He puts others before himself almost all of the time, but having to become a monster to do that is an intriguing dilemma the story leaves us with. And so just looking at, how cool the character is when he's a kaiju, the power scaling, the idea of a select group of humanity fighting against monsters, it's, in my eyes, a telltale sign of a potentially awesome manga, and by extension, it can certainly become a really popular anime if or when that happens. This kind of story's general idea itself is done pretty often, with, Attack on Titan in a lot of ways, Parasite with being half human, half monster, and having to hide it. And of course, a concept like this has been done a lot in Shounen Jump and will continue to be done a lot. But from differences like a mature adult protagonist, although he can be pretty immature at times, to a very explicit power scaling system that lets us watch our characters grow, it has a lot of potential. It's also only 25 chapters in, so getting caught up is no problem at all. It took me about an hour or two just to catch up, and it's a really fun ride so far, and one that I really doubt you could even regret. I mean, it's just a really entertaining action shonen, and I can see it going far. I mean, it's not perfect, of course. It's not like it's some kind of masterpiece. If it avoids themes that it could certainly expand on and use, then it could kind of fall flat as a really basic shonen manga. Both Attack on Titan and Parasite deal with the concept of who is the monster, as the main character kind of bends the line between the two and people become more open-minded. You see the atrocities that humankind has committed as well as the monsters, and you have to decide who is really the good guy here. This is really important in a story like this, to extend, these big battles to a moral and ethical dilemma as well, or important for any story, really, for that matter. With stakes like this, and where humans are fighting monsters, not being afraid to kill off characters is also really important in my eyes. It's kind of essential when tackling a thematic topic like this, but it doesn't look like Kaiju's afraid to do that. I mean, no one important has died so far, which is good. I mean, we're only on chapter 25. But with the way action is going, and just from seeing a couple fights, you can tell that every character is fighting well aware that this might be their last moment. So, to wrap things up, just read Kaiju number 8. That's about it. Nah, but seriously, definitely keep an eye out for what this manga has in store. It's got potential. And if it hits all these bases thematically, tackles the right ideas, it'll surely become big. And it's something for anyone who doesn't read manga, if any of you are left by this point in the video, to watch out for sometime in the future. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.